Okay. Check.
I need a motion to exit executive session.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I need a motion to open up the budget meeting again.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we have the preliminary budget that we worked on for the last, a month and a half, 2 months. And it's currently asking for an increase per million of 79 cents, per thousand, I'm sorry, 79 cents. Do I have a motion over the half 2 months? Approve the budget. Currently asking for a second.
Second.
An increase per million of 79 cents. Per thousand.
So
Do I have a motion over the half 2 months?
many of you have been here for meetings over the last several months where I've been
Second.
An increase per
discussing our proposal to bring the circuit EV rideshare program. With of course the understanding that our primary, many of you have been here for meetings over the last several months where I've been costs relative to our discussing our proposal to bring the circuit EV rideshare program. And there are incidental costs the understanding related to that as well. Many of you have been here for meetings over the last several months where I've been housed costs relative to our discussing and other things on the horizon, which we know the rideshare program. All of them aside, there are incidental costs related to that as well. Many of you have been here for meetings over the last several months where I've been housed costs relative to our discussing and other things on the horizon impact the rideshare program. All of them anticipated there are incidental costs related to that as well. Many of you have been here for meetings over that I've been housed, so it wasn't and other things on the horizon impact the rideshare sustainability. All of them anticipated there are incidental costs related to that as well. Many of you have been and the feedback that I got was that it's other things on the horizon impact the rideshare sustainability. All of them anticipated there are incidental costs related to that. I laid out everybody in the form and that's on that and the feedback that I got was that it's other things on the horizon impact the rideshare sustainability. So there are incidental costs related to that. I laid out everybody in the form and that's on that and the feedback that I got was that it's other things on the I laid out everybody in the form and that's on that and then the feedback that I got was that it's I laid out sorry, and then I laid out sorry, and then right. So I'm just seeking support. I don't want to burden the town with so many things, but on the other hand, this would really benefit the community. I started this whole thing by the seniors, and yes, the town does the senior transports to doctor appointments, but this is so they can actually do a lot of things in Pelham. They can go on their own to shop. They can, go to activities at the townhouse. They can go to activities at the Manor Club. So all these things, the library, and that's where I started. And then the number of other people, I've gotten messages from people that have said, I'm a single car household. You have no idea how much this would help me and our family. People that commute to the train and lost their parking spaces. There's been more added, which has been a lot, which is great, but there's still a lot more people that are still without parking. So all those things said, I would like to do this. However, I do understand all that's on the plate of the town board, and so
Questions?
happy to have other input.
I think it's a great idea, but I, like, from what I understand, they have it in New Rochelle, and New Rochelle, the city is not paying for it. That it was paid through a grant, and now it's being paid for by the developers or the other, their equivalent of the chamber.
Yeah.
So how do we get more support from everyone in Pelham? And they're still having, you still have to pay to ride it.
Right, that's right.
So, I mean, it's a lot cheaper than an Uber or whatever, but it's also, it's kind of on demand, but it's not really on demand, because in New Rochelle, it goes in a loop, and you call it, and it may come in 20 minutes, it may come in 5 minutes, and it comes when it hits the loop.
It's
When
not
your
necessarily,
spot
it's
hits
not,
the loop.
it's not necessarily a loop, it's just a carved out space. You're right, I mean, there could be a demand problem, but
I mean, definitely
They-
at
How many
rush
vehicles?
hours.
what's that?
How many vehicles?
So right now, it would be,
one.
no, it would be 2, and then an ADA accessible van during the weekdays, and then an added one on the weekends, which I actually think it should be reversed, but I think right now it's written, but this is all, can be sort of tweaked. And it would be, as you go along during the pilot, they would tweak the number of hours, the areas we could limit as needed, depending on, they're gonna do all this statistical analysis to help us, guide us, the best way to use this.
Kara, I was not aware that the developers are now paying for that in New Rochelle. I knew a
Yeah,
grant
the
paid for it.
city's not paying for it, from what I understand.
So, okay, I talked to the village, the New Rochelle administrator of this program. He didn't tell me that developers were paying it. They had been.
I don't know exactly who, but.
He didn't tell me that. I had a very long conversation. He told me it's been paid for initially by basically CARES funding, COVID
Right,
funding.
Right.
And then that was ending, and then it was going to be paid by the city. That is what he told me. Now, I don't know the time frame from when that transition's happening. I thought it was soon. He did not mention that at all. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea to have businesses, participate and, subsidize. I've already talked to one business owner that said they would do vouchers, which, vouchers to get to their customers, because they want, their customers to use this service. So there's lots of those.
Right.
There's
But those
advertising.
would cover the $5 cost for them. That wouldn't
Well,
be it.
right, but if they buy a lot and
That wouldn't come back to us.
Yeah, there's no
Right.
revenue stream for the town at all, right?
Right.
there's no, what's that?
Revenue stream for the town?
It's a revenue outflow.
There are options, so if we had, the electric chargers be those, like that on-point charge stations, we could make revenue that way. It's just wherever, we'd have to find a place where if it was here, we would make all the money from having people use it and pay for it. So if we got creative and found a space for these vehicles, we could make money that way.
Ooh, the hair just stood up on my arm because we don't have the space for the ambulance.
Yeah, I mean, I have.
As much as
yeah,
I like
know.
the idea also, I think the timing's terrible right now for us. And I have a concern about spending taxpayer money on that also. So I just think the timing is just, I'm sorry, it's just bad. As far as I'm concerned.
I think it's a great idea in theory, and I think trying to find a way to subsidize it and bring it here, having other folks help us fund it is, I think, the way to go, like, moving forward. I spoke to the mayor-elect of New Rochelle, which I think you might already have this, but she told me that primarily developers are paying for it currently, and most people that use it, the demographics are seniors primarily, and they're using it to go to the doctor and go to the grocery store. And I think that those are folks that don't have a car. I spoke to another resident in Pelham who told me that it would benefit folks who have nannies or au pairs who don't drive, who don't have cars. And I think that it would, but that's not necessarily taking cars off the road, because I know there's also a sustainability initiative here, to be a little
Yeah.
greener. But I don't necessarily know that it's gonna like if you have a car, I don't know that you're gonna take this to go to the grocery store. But I do think that this whole initiative is great, and we should try to look at how else can we help our seniors if they would use something like our senior van to go. Can we add a route to the grocery store, maybe ShopRite in the Manor, or Stop and Shop or something. But I feel like we could, and then depending on the usage and how much they're actually looking for that and calling for it and wanting to use it, then we can kind of develop data points and go from there. But I think it's a great idea. I think also maybe involving Westchester County Sustainability to see if they could give a grant to help us fund it with the discussion. And also, look, Pelham Manor, this would really benefit Pelham Manor residents who live over by Shore Park, who need to get to the train and lost their parking spot.
Exactly.
So I feel like, but if we get all that info and their buy-in and the support, then I think it's it's a good idea, it's a good way forward. But to do it without that and not to have publicized it so that everybody knows that it's being added.
Talking about this for 6 months, and I've talked to a lot of people.
No, I know,
We don't-
I know,
you
and
we
I know
don't
the timing's
necessarily do surveys for
right.
public entities,
And the timing's a little tough because I know you've had a lot going on in the past time. So there's been, a large chunk of time where it's probably not been focused, which I fully, completely understand. And I think,
The only thing to say is then that means, we're talking about another year and a half. That, it'll probably die. It'll die.
no, I think we should.
I mean, I will make every effort to keep it
I
going.
think
Why can't we have members of the chamber, members of each
And
village,
maybe we can get
and
some.
members of us to have a work group like we did with the ambulance?
Right.
To
And also, if we can
come up with a
if we
solution.
can get a grant to pilot it, then we can
Right.
start it in the summer.
Yeah.
We don't have
Yeah.
to wait another.
Well, the grant,
Budget,
right, that's right, yeah, that's right.
There's
Yeah.
probably grant
Yeah,
money
I'm-
out there for it.
I'm more than happy to help work on it.
Yeah, that'd be
Me
great.
too.
That'd be
I'll
great.
do it too
Okay,
with
great.
you.
All right.
Okay, thank you,
All right,
Kristen. I
no
guess the
problem.
sense of the board is we'll not do it this year.
Yep.
Correct? Okay, so the budget that we currently have in front of the public is, again, a budget that is going to cost per 1,079 cents. And we're going to, the homestead is going to be 75, and the non-homestead $1.03. And it incurred, taking up, raised by taxes, $338,815. This is a substantial budget for the town, and that's all because of the ambulance. There's basically nothing in this budget that is unusual from year to year. The budget is basically, if we didn't have the ambulance in there, the budget would be similar to all the budgets that I've been involved in for the last 11, 13, 14 years, however long that's been. So now I'd like a vote on approving the budget for 2024. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No,
We're discussing.
We
did move-
discussed, we did already, that's right, thank you, sorry. Yep.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Okay, so it's
everybody,
approved.
thank you for the good job. I'd like to close, I need a motion to close the budget.
So moved.
I need to close the budget meeting. Got motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I guess we've done something, there's 2 public comments here.
Well, 'cause that was in the budget.
One was on the budget, you didn't call it.
Right.
I'm sorry, does anybody want to make a comment on the budget? I apologize. Yes,
I do. Over here,
Sure.
yes, sir.
This is public comment.
Yeah, we didn't close it.
I do think that you should have had a public comment before you voted on the vote. Budget.
So we can't. close
I
the
don't
town.
disagree with that.
Yes.
So you did it already, so, but, a couple of,
We could always change it.
Yeah,
Yes.
reopen the meeting.
couple of questions, actually. is there money in the budget in order to do the renovation of the bathroom and the kitchen in the townhouse? It's supposed to be reimbursed, but you need to have the money in the budget in order to.
No, you don't have to have it in the budget, you have to have it in your balance sheet somewhere.
Right. That could be.
To answer your question, yes.
So there is.
Yes.
And is there a timetable for when that would occur?
Maura and I and Bill are talking about that. We have to do something with, Maura, why don't you explain?
The state historical preservation office, basically we had to submit the plans and the photos and what our objectives are for the space, and then they'll go look at it and approve it without further comment, because we're not changing the exterior of the building or the general use of the building. We're upgrading the facilities, the kitchen and the bathrooms, and then making some changes with the carpet and some storage things. So that's in the process right now, and then we're going to have some plans drawn up for what it will look like. And then Phil's already gotten some preliminary plans on it. So I think the goal would be to have it done in 2024 without delay, as long as there's no delay on the side, and then we will get.
And money will still be available.
Yeah, we're holding the money available to make, in order to do the renovations.
I just want to clear something. They saw the pictures of the townhouse, and they thought it was an historic site.
It's not.
And if they come back and say it's an historic site, we're not going to take that grant, we're just going to use it out of our own funds. But as Maura said, changing the bathroom shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. Well, just want to say it's really important to the people who use the townhouse to have that, particularly in the bathrooms, but the kitchen would really be important for the seniors as well. Second thing, is there money in the budget to allow for some substantial planning for this building when the police move out to the municipal building?
There's money not in the budget. Again, it's money that we have in our reserve account, but we're working on getting a grant to pay for that.
Because I think it's really important, and particularly to get some community input about what should happen in the building, not just.
I appreciate your comment, but the first priority will be to take care of our staff and the staffing needs of the town employees. That has to be the first priority before any other space can be promised to anyone else. I have made the suggestion to the town supervisor that we get either an architect or an architect that has a space planner, because that will be essential for us to maximize what needs to be done here with the least amount of changing walls if we don't have to do it. I truly believe a space planner is needed here, because as much as we can represent what each employee does every day, when they speak to the space planner, they match those needs with what the office needs to look like. And
We also, the police department is going to be customer oriented, because we're not ADA approved. So the taxpayer is going to go down there, the tax receiver is going to go down there. You guys are not going to be walking up here for meetings, we're going to set it up all downstairs.
I should remind you that the town owns the property next door, and it is possible for you to hold public hearings and your own hearings in that building next door, and people don't have to walk up 2 flights of stairs.
But if I change downstairs, I don't have to worry about that.
I know, it's
So
a
to
separate
get
matter.
everything over to that office, to have a meeting and then have it all come back, it's a bad.
Well, look at the difficulty of fitting people in.
I just said the
here.
ADA we're going to do downstairs.
But, well, you also need to be able to have council meetings
Yeah,
so
downstairs.
that the public can actually.
Well, have them downstairs.
I think that's really important. The final thing I would say is, I really think that, is there money in the budget to increase the amount of driver for the van? The town van is used by the seniors particularly to go to doctor's appointments. It could be used for a lot more than that, but there needs to be money for driver in order to occur. And if there's not gonna be a loop, rider immediately. I think having, the ability to use that van on a more, regular basis, because there's an employee that can, drive the car, would be important. Is there money in the
I'm
budget
sure
for
we
that?
can find that in the budget.
Because right now, it's a very limited number of days that's.
What is it, Carrie? Monday, Wednesday, Thursday? Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, we could throw in a Tuesday in there if we have to.
And also, I think it's right now confined to just doctor's appointments, but there's a lot of other things that people could use, and that this van could help with, and might ease until something more comprehensive could be discovered and be a lot cheaper, I think also. That's
Thank
what
you,
I
Ed.
would say.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Hey, can I leave the budget where it is then?
If the stuff is in there, and besides, you've already voted on it, which is really not exactly the procedure that you should be using, particularly since you said you were having a public hearing.
Did I disagree with anything you said? Thank you. Okay. So, let's go to the legislative meeting. Yeah. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes came out. Did everybody get them? Does anybody have any comments on them?
No, they're very good minutes.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Deputy Supervisor Zemansky on the fly call.
Yep, for the month of November, there were 40 calls in the village of Pelham, 38 calls in the village of Pelham Manor, 1 call on 95, 3 on the Hutchinson River Parkway. The average response time for the units backing up the fly car, which is only the Empress units, was 9.43 seconds.
Minute.
Huh?
Minute?
No, sorry, 9 minutes and 0.42 seconds. Yeah, that would have been great, wouldn't it? And 41% of the calls were answered in 6 minutes and under. 90% of the calls in 8 minutes and under. That's for the fly car.
Any questions?
Do we know how many times they used?
No, I did not get a 60 control report.
60?
If I had a 60 control report tonight, I would have told you, but I
Yeah.
didn't get one.
I have to
It's
say,
coming to the end anyway.
I understand, but I have not seen the Empress ambulance in town this whole month. And I've seen the county one,
AMR.
and I've seen Eastchester,
Eastchester, yeah,
and I
well,
saw Larchmont,
I have
which
to,
is good.
I can only make
Because I
an
saw-
assumption.
No, that's
I
fine,
don't
I
have
get
any
it.
facts behind it.
But the good news is Larchmont came. I saw Larchmont's, and I know they are appreciating our efforts.
I think the whole state, to be honest with you, is appreciating our efforts. I will say this again, I've said it, this is a trailblazing agreement between this municipality and EVAC.
Yep.
And it is being touted, and I'm sure Gene will attest to that, he was at the last regional meeting. We are being looked at across this state as an example for success, which this board should be very proud of, that we've taken that leap to try to do this. So, that's all I will say. I don't think Empress wants to answer any of our calls.
No, I agree. So it's all good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Ray.
So we went to the screening.
Oh, yes, Ann, and you were there.
Yes, for EMS in crisis, which is very on point for what everyone here is dealing with, so it's good to see that.
Okay. Councilwoman McLaughlin on recreation.
It's been a busy, busy month. The seniors had 25 round trip visits to doctors. They had a lunch sponsored by Amy Poland and also the civics, which helped celebrate Thanksgiving with them. They had visits from the Hutchinson Elementary School students. In December, they will have a holiday luncheon and possibly a trip to Arthur Avenue. So they're very excited to keep these activities going. I'm still recovering from November 25th. I'm sure Dan is as well. That was a crazy day here in Pelham. It started with the Pelham Civics 10K and half marathon. My son came in third in the 10K. That was very exciting for us. The Pelham Chamber of Commerce had their Shop Local Saturday, which started with breakfast with Santa, and then different activities all through the different stores in town, and then their Winter Wonderland, which culminated in the Recreation Department Santa Claus and tree lighting, featuring caroling by Girl Scouts and the Larks, and the Smooth as Silk lighting by Jan. We all held our breath for about a second.
Well, believe it's on a remote control now that the new guys did it. It's great.
And thank you to Phil D. Simone for supervising that. The Pelham Rec Department's basketball program begins next week. They had open gyms last week, and this week practices and games will start. There are multiple teams at every school and at every grade level for both boys and girls. Record number of girls in the middle school, so that's really, really exciting. There will be a holiday party with Santa Claus for people with various disabilities and special needs. That'll be December 6th at 5 p.m. RSVP to Diane Barkley in the Recreation Department. They are sponsoring an early release programs at all the elementary schools for the early release date of December 15th. Also sign up with the Recreation Department or the local PTAs. In addition, there will be a trust and estates attorney to speak at Durango Townhouse on January 20th. The time is being worked out, but it should be late morning, to discuss planning for a child who may not be able to live on his or her own as an adult. This is a joint program with SEPTA and the Recreation Department. There are still openings in Busy Girls, which is an entrepreneurial class for 5th and 6th grade girls, which starts on Saturday, January 6th. Sign up is now. This is a new program that is being offered at Toronto. And Mud Week camp sign-ups are open. And that's for the February break for people who don't know what Mud Week is.
So a lot going on.
Yes, a lot of stuff going on.
Talking about that, just so the board's aware, there's a conflict on that Small Business Saturday and the Civics Marathon. Both organizations want to use the Bronco Townhouse on Saturday morning, and both want to use it on Friday evening. Friday evening, they want to hand out the dibs and whatever on the Civics. On the Saturday, they want to hand out the bibs and whatever. Where the Small Business Saturday wants to set Santa up in the Bronco Townhouse and have the breakfast, so they want to set it up the night before. This year, we kind of solved it by having the Rail House host the breakfast with Santa. But we're having a meeting, I think it's January 19th, if I'm correct, with all the participants in that to see what we can do to make it better, if you will, or coordination anyway. Because they're both good for the town, and we should both get them done as smooth as possible.
Okay, I'm happy to join that meeting.
I'll give you the exact date.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Councilman Burke on the court and legal.
So the courts, they had their first jury trial in quite a while, a few weeks ago. And they are going to expect to have more trials and hearings post-COVID. Things are finally getting back to sort of usual. courts. They're gonna be closed, the courts are gonna be closed the last 2 weeks in December. That's for the staff to, and they do this every year, right? You made me nervous. They do it every year, from what I'm told. It's for the staff to catch up on work and to use any of their paid time off, which does not carry over to the next year. So that's it. Courts running smoothly. The constables, Dan, should I mention our meeting? So there have been concerns raised over the last few months regarding the Glover Field complex. It falls within our purview because we have constables who assist with the traffic flow and with helping students walk across the hutch to get to the Glover entrance. And there have been concerns raised, and why can't they increase the number of constables and or the amount of time that they work to cover till it closes at 10 p.m. So all these discussions have been happening. Just so people have the context, it's in a space that's Mount Vernon, so it's not the town purview. It is not the villages, and it's not the schools. But we're all obviously want to protect the health and safety of our kids, so we're working together to find a solution. So Dan, myself, and Chief Conte of the constables met with school officials, Dr. Champ, Jim Rickey, and the AD, the new athletic director. We actually sat there for like an hour, I think, and watched people walking across. We watched the flow of cars. It's very distressing to us to see this. There's a walk light that doesn't work at all. You can press the button and it never showed walk. So that's a concern. They've asked it to be fixed, but it's in Mount Vernon's area, so that's not being fixed. So the resolution from there is Dan's taken a bunch of steps to reach out to local electeds.
I reached out to Senator Fernandez's office. I reached out to George Vladimir's office. And I reached out to Amy. The problem you have there, and Kristen and I were horrified about crossing that street. You can't cross that street. And the problem there is, you know, at the Boston Post Road and Pelhamdale, you can press that button and all lights go red.
Right.
So all traffic stops. That doesn't happen down there at all.
Yeah.
And then the people coming off of the hutch, making the right-hand turn, and everybody in this audience and everybody on this board, when you make a right on red, you never look to your right. You're always looking to your left.
Right.
And the kids are coming from your right. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to slam on the brake because there's a baby carriage going on the street. So that's got to stop too. I believe this is the Department of Transportation issue. I don't think Mount Vernon, I know Mount Vernon's not going to solve it. I know Pelham's not going to solve it. I think it's the Department of Transportation issue, and that's why I've been speaking to those officers. It was horrifying because, and we're all drivers, right? So you see two kids trying to cross those entrances and exits, but the light says don't walk. They've been waiting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get across the street. You're making them turn into the hutches and beeping your horn because those kids shouldn't be walking. It says don't walk. Well, the kids could never walk. They would have to stay there for the rest of their lives. So it's an issue. It's a big issue. So we're working on it. Thank you.
Just quickly, I'll do my reports. The receiver of taxes for the month of November 2023, town county taxes received for 2023 is $6,663.53. School taxes received $407,995.09. School collection fees $3,427.16. Penalties and interest received $8,328.87. Taxpayers agreement $2,329. Miscellaneous $100. Pro rata is $9,864.49 for a total of $438,708.14. For the justice reports for Justice Kagan for the month of October 2023, he received an amount of $16,356, and Justice Gardner for October 2023, he received an amount of $35,113.
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
Councilman Thorpe? Okay, Councilwoman Curtin on the library.
I wanted to mention that the library is going to have an email address change as of tomorrow. Instead of wlsmail.org, which stands for Westchester Library System.org, it's going to be pelhamlibrary.org as of tomorrow. So if you're emailing anyone at the library, it will be forwarded for 45 days, and you need to save that in your phone book. So you can put that up on the town website. So I just want to make it up. Can you just remind me?
Should put it on Pops too.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do. The library programming upcoming, I just wanted to highlight a couple of different things. There's I might say this wrong, Ayurvedic Approaches Seminar, that's via Zoom on December 19th, and this is a series of health lectures, and this month's session is going to cover gratitude, which I think is a great.
I don't know what that word means. Can you?
It means Ayurvedic is a comprehensive system of medicine.
I should know. Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then all of this is on the library website as well, and in their monthly newsletter, which goes out to everybody. I thought this was a great one. You can now access consumer reports online in the library, which I told my husband, and we are now going to be saving $55 a year. He subscribes to that. It's great. He subscribes to that. $55.
I think we do too.
Yes.
So you just go on the library website and you put in your library card number and you can access consumer reports.
No, I'm laughing because my husband asks for it all the time.
Men love consumer reports. I just wanted to mention I had the honor of going last month to the library and reading at Story Hour outside, and it was so much fun. I highly recommend it. It was a really good time. There's so many kids there, so many families, and it's really well done. It's one of the most popular programs I think at our library. So I think that is what I have.
So what happens during the winter?
Well, it's on the website, and it says if it's below 40 degrees, it will not be held, and I think you can call the number beginning when the library opens to just double check to make sure. Obviously, if it's inclement weather like rain or snow, it's not held outside.
Any other questions for Councilman Curtin? Okay, supervisor's report. First of all, I want to congratulate Kristen and Laura for being reelected to the next 4 years. Why they want to do it for the next 4 years, I have no idea.
Is it 4?
That being said,
Congratulations to you too.
yeah, mine's 2 years. And on the agenda is the EVAC contract. We are as close, no. We don't like to use that term, Tom. There's only one issue open, and it's regarding an insurance issue. And Kristen, who's an attorney, and Tom, who's our town attorney, are going to work on that and get that done. And since the budget is passed, then we can sign the contract when that comes. Everybody on the board has a copy of the contract, and
Yes, thank
Kristen and Tom will keep everybody informed on the insurance issue.
And I had mentioned to Dan that I think it would be a nice idea and to have a photo op for that signing, since it is historic and it is something this town really came together on. And Eastchester's interested in that also, so I'll call the Examiner when we're ready.
Yeah.
And I don't know, who else? There's no logo, is there? There's still a
No, there
paper?
is.
Oh, well, I don't know, so we'll do something public
Well,
so that it's.
great.
Okay, that's all.
Okay, under new businesses, we have three things, townhouse policy, architect planner, and circuit follow-up. We did the circuit follow-up, we did the architect planner already, so, Maura wanted to talk about townhouse policy, so I'll give you the floor.
So basically, I think this came about because of what you mentioned earlier, which was the conflict that occurred on the Saturday after Thanksgiving when mistakenly double booked, by the civics and, then the chamber. So I was talking to Molly, our, deputy town clerk, about it, and I thought, a lot of the usage in the townhouse requires the town to staff to open it, unlock it, it's happening on the weekends. Sometimes it requires constables that we pay out of our budget to be there. And so I thought it might be worth exploring, having a fee associated with using the Durango townhouse. And specifically if we are incurring a cost, like the constables having to be there to open and close it, or if it's a fundraiser, like if it's a nonprofit meeting of group in town, I have no problem with them using the space at no cost. But if you start letting folks use it to raise money for their own purposes while we're incurring fees, like with the constables, then I was thinking we should probably set forward a chart of fees.
So in line with that, Molly made up a 2-page report on who uses it. The townhouse cannot be used for fundraising.
Right. Well, the Santa breakfast that was originally scheduled there was $85 a family for that was what the chamber was doing.
What was that fundraising for?
Chamber of Commerce.
And they can't do that anymore. It's not, you can't use townhouse for fundraising.
Okay. Well, that was on the invitation, so.
So they will talk about it at the meeting on.
Right. The Children's Center uses the townhouse for their book sale.
They-
That's an exception.
Because they're a tenant.
Yes, got it. Makes sense.
One of the things that Maura brought up is the farmer's market that we supply a constable to open up the building to use the bathroom.
They're for profit.
They're for profit, but we agreed to hold the farmer's market because we felt it was a service to the community. And the community came to us and asked us if they could use the gazebo for people
Music.
playing music. And asked us if we could open up the townhouse so that people could use the bathrooms. That, to me, I personally don't think we should be charging anything
That's
to the
fine.
farmer's market.
It's like a
That's fine.
community service.
Yeah, it is.
That's a
that's
community
fine.
service.
So, I was just gonna add, in the policy, it already states that there's a fee for use.
So we're not. Sure.
Right, well, but it is there.
Right.
It doesn't have a chart, and I agree that would make sense to, if it's nonprofit, maybe it's zero or whatever,
Right.
if it's for profit. But it is in here that when there's use of our town employees. But there is also up top that it is really to be used just for nonprofit, civic, community, cultural, educational related activities. So we can probably be a little more restrictive. There's like associations that use it.
Associations are basically nonprofit.
Yeah.
They're membership organizations. But again, if we're incurring extra, like, let's say there's something that requires additional than our standard
One
number.
constable or.
Constable, right, then we charge for additional, or if there's gonna be a certain number of people in excess of what we think.
I have to just give you a little historical background, and Tom can jump into, we must have spent hours and meetings over this, because we had the same kind of pull and tug. We want to make, how much money are we really going to make? And I think I said this to Maura, like a cost-benefit analysis
Right.
needs to be looked at, because if it's going to piss off people
Right.
that are our community people, and I don't think it's worth it.
Right.
It depends on, is it
Yeah, I
really
agree.
worth it?
Yeah.
That's really what I said to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. No,
No, I
I think
understand
when
that.
you walk into the townhouse, there's a lot of wear and tear on the townhouse. And right now, when you walk in, it needs help. And I mean, I think it's coming, obviously, in the form of this project that we're working on. But just the wear and tear on the floor, it looks,
I mean, unfortunately, it's one of the only community spaces
yeah.
that we have.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping in this master, we get a couple of smaller rooms that can be
Yeah,
used.
yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, I just wanted to raise it because other
No,
towns
you-
do have policy. And I do think we will look into with Town Web, putting it online so that we're not relying maybe just on an email, but you can put it through the
booking
website, yeah, like a calendar.
I'm not crazy about that, because Molly and I have a lot of conversations of people can they use it? And if you bypass the town.
I
No,
think
it
there
has to
should still be an
approval
approval
No, it has
process.
to be
They
approved.
request it,
Because
and then
But
you
it's-
we have turned down
Yes,
several
I would
people.
agree with that.
It's just less of
Definitely.
an opportunity to miss it in an email than if it goes through an online source, but you still would have to approve it.
Molly does a great job with this.
Yes.
Thank
There
you.
has to be some
This is
responsibility to the person that wants to use it to follow up. You can't just say, send an email and Molly's gonna.
No,
right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They should be following up with her, which didn't happen this last time around.
No. Let me, and Ed, you'll love this. It was my fault. I got the letter December 22nd last year for the civics. They didn't send it to Molly.
And it shouldn't be a year in advance either.
Well, but they didn't send it to Molly, and I put it in my pocket.
Well, and it is your fault.
I said it's my fault. This is my night of agreement and everything. Okay.
I was
Thank
just
you.
for the record, I was interested in obtaining more revenue for
Yeah,
the town.
of course.
Yeah, you are.
I just,
No,
what other towns are doing, I'm curious what they really are charging.
Yeah.
You know, that I
Yeah,
have no idea.
it's a sliding scale. It's a sliding scale.
Yeah.
But I think that, I wasn't aware that you weren't supposed to have a fundraiser there today. I've seen fundraisers advertised there, so.
Well, I wasn't aware that $85 was charged
Either
for
side.
that breakfast, which is
The
It's an
calendar, it's just the
eye-opener.
calendar,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was never said to me it was a fundraiser. They didn't have it there anyway, but.
Yeah, right. They were charging for that, which they have expenses associated.
Yes,
with it,
absolutely.
so I get it.
Any other questions on that? Public comment.
you have to identify yourself and stand
Joe
up.
Salamini, I live at 179 Seacor Lane, and what you did with the ambulance was an absolute home run. It's been 20 years coming. Just to give you a little background, a little historical. When I joined the board, we had a quasi-relationship with Duracell Hospital. And the ambulance came to Pelham when it felt like it. I'm being sarcastic, but 15, 20 minutes. So we approached them for ambulance because they didn't have the account, and they were happy to put an ambulance in the community, and they put it in the fire department. But after about a year, the fireman said, we just don't have enough room. So Pelham took it. And after 2 years, we still were not happy with the response time. So we met with Mike Minerva of Empress, and he suggested a fly car. We would purchase the car, he would supply the personnel. And he would park the Empress ambulance on the bridge. That was pretty good. What happened? They sold the company. So you lost the communication with them. What you've done now is absolutely unbelievable. And I'm sure that there will be money out there, government money out there to support it. Sure of it. It's got to be. Great job.
Thank you, Joe.
20 years.
I know, I've been
What would you
living
pay-
it
what
for
would you
20
pay to
I've been
someone?
living it for
You've
20
been
years.
here for the whole time.
I've been here the whole time.
Right? What would you pay to save a life?
There's no money you can put on saving a life. And that was obvious when we got public comment from the community. So, and that's really what we were looking for, was the support from the community. That we are raising your taxes, we have to do this. So,
But nobody can argue with money well spent.
agreed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay. Katie Keenan, 225 Alderwood. Okay, so, very much in support of the ambulance, very excited. So tonight, we passed the budget, so this is done.
Yeah.
And now the contract,
Will be corrected and
It's
signed.
Almost.
so then will you sign it before the end of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then as of January 1st, we can all expect to see
The first
the
6
new
months,
Pelham ambulance.
the first 6 months of the schedule are already done by EastChester.
Okay.
So they're already ready. He actually toured today
Yes, you did.
and looked where the fly car is and see what kind of housing they have and what kind of lettering has to go in the fly
He's already
car.
staffed it for the first
Yeah.
night with people from town.
Yes, people from Pelham will be on the ambulance. the
I
first
hope no one
night.
needs to use it, but people do. Well, just very supportive of all and thankful for all of the work of the town and all of our local experts that got this done. I know there's lots of concerned parents that are very eager and excited to see this change, so thank you to the board.
Well, we thank you for
Thank you.
getting
Thank you.
Thank
all of
you.
your support. Thanks.
Thanks, Katie.
Is there any rule about you can't do comments? Yes, sir.
Is this a public hearing?
Yes.
No, I have a question about the townhouse usage. We had some discussions about political canvassing and use of the townhouse for political purposes during the last election. Is there anything in the code, Kristen, that says about soliciting or things of that sort? This is not during the election day, when the county has very strict rules about soliciting, but other times. Is there anything, and have you dealt with this in terms of its First Amendment concerns, et cetera, as well?
So I actually did a lot of research on this, and you would have thought off the bat that you cannot use a government facility to do, political campaigning. I did not find that in all of my research. You can't use government phones, faxes, whatever, emails to campaign, copy, right? You can't use that stuff. But there was nothing. Well, this is our policy, but legally under New York state law, I saw nothing that says you can't actually just use the facility. And by the way, you can't. The big thing is you can't have your employees work on your campaign, right? Dan can't have employees work on his campaign. So those prohibitions are clear. I saw nothing that says a prohibition for the use of a facility. So I thought that was interesting and surprising. But our policy itself does prohibit the use of our townhouse for political fundraisers, political advocacy, or partisan campaign events. So I think we could change that and say you can have, as long as all sides are being given the same opportunity to use the space for events, or not. We just leave it as is, and then we just have to enforce it moving forward. I have sort of mixed feelings about it because, again, we don't have a lot of these spaces in town.
It does say we're allowed candidate forums, so perhaps everybody has to do it at the same time.
Right. But I've seen in other policies that say as long as it's equal access for all, political affiliations, then it can be used.
Yeah, I mean, just from my experience, there's no town in Westchester having political fundraisers at their.
Not fundraising. I'm talking about campaigning. I thought that was the issue.
Yeah, the
that
campaign.
recently came up.
Right.
Well, if one's gonna get to campaign, everybody has to get to
Right.
campaign.
Absolutely.
Yes, but how do you know, how do you tell Mary Smith that Joe Jones went in on Tuesday? You understand what I'm
Yes.
saying? Who's gonna control, Kristen came in on Monday.
Right.
Then Dan's gonna come in and who,
So it should.
how did that information get shared? Is
Well,
that-
Right, but it should be.
It shouldn't be. Just
That's why I
Yeah.
say none.
say no.
Or if it was, then it's through the process, which is supposed to be officially requesting access.
Yeah.
Through the policy and whatever the
Right.
procedures we're gonna hopefully
I prefer
formalize a
that.
little more.
It's easier.
Or not, or just leave it be. I honestly don't have a strong feeling either way.
Just
I have another 40 years, so.
where where it is now is where we wound up. That was
Yeah.
the best we did as far as kind of like a middle ground.
Yeah.
I think that what's written there sounds great.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Yes.
Really quickly, Joanna Guerrero from the Office of State Senator Natalia Fernandez. Just wanted to give some quick announcements. We're wrapping up the end of the year and just want to let everyone know that our legislative session starts in January. So the senator is going to be back in Albany voting on legislation, etc. So we're always open to legislative ideas, anything that you guys might have to fix loopholes in policies. You can definitely talk to our office. We'll set up a meeting with our legislative director and move from there. And that should be going from January all the way to June. Generally, we have budget season, which it has to be passed by March. So from January to March, it's when we receive all of the requests. So if there are any folks that have any budget requests, operational or capital, etc., you should definitely start submitting those ideas and requests to our office now, so that we can start to meet with you guys and then getting that information to the senator and get everything ready to go by March when it has to be submitted to the leader's office. So that's a quick remark there. And then lastly, I know I did say last time that we're going to be having like a end of the year wrap up, so you should be getting the date soon. It's going to be via Zoom, so it's accessible to a lot of folks across the district because we do cover Westchester and the Bronx as well. So you should be getting that information very soon. We'll be talking about what she's done this year, what we're looking forward to next year, all of the budget allocations this year, and then the process for budget allocations next year as well. So that's pretty much it. For those who don't have my email, it's jguerrer@nycenter.gov, and I'm always here if anything. So that's it. Thank you.
I have a question. Did the governor pass the law moving the town elections to even years?
Fine.
I believe.
Did she
Signed?
sign it?
I'm not sure. I have to get back to
Okay.
that. Yeah.
That was still on her desk, the last I heard.
I can see if it's signed or still there. Not signed yet.
Okay, thank you.
Can you please see me at the meeting?
Yes, for the issue that we have to. For that, I think we're just gonna have to work with the other members.
2 issues.
No worries.
Any other comments? Do you have a motion to close the meeting? All second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you everyone for coming.
See you next year.
What'd you say?
Yeah, this is another one.
What day is that?
Right, there was another one.
What's the business first?
I think that